Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today we're going to look at the murder of Deputy Kevin Tarsia, Broome County Sheriff's Office, New York. Folks, before we get started on the pronunciation of Deputy Tarsia's name, every news account I listen to trying to figure out how it should be pronounced, they all pronounced it different. So I'm going to go with Tarsia. And I can't promise you that during this taping I won't pronunciate his last name several different ways. So I do apologize. Now, Deputy Tarsia was 36 years old. Now, he'd been with Broome County Sheriff's Office for 13 years. And he had a fiancée. His mama and daddy were still alive. In fact, if you look at pictures of his daddy, he's a spitting image of his daddy. Got 3 brothers, 2 sisters, and a passel of nieces and nephews. Now, this is all going to begin April 25th, 2002. So just a little over 2 months before Deputy Tarsia is murdered. A gun store in Hancock, New York, was burglarized. Some witnesses would say that they saw 2 men, small and medium build, said they threw a big old rock through the window of Marino's Outdoor World. Them two fellas, they went through the busted window and they came out with a bag full of something. And they also had a armful of long guns to boot. So they jumped into a small car and they took off out of town. Now, the display case holding the weapons had been busted out. Now, some of those weapons they took, there was some revolvers. They took an Intratec weapon that looks like a machine gun. They also took several more handguns, semi-automatic. Now, in particular, it was a 40 caliber Glock and a 9mm Car. Now, both those guns would be used during the commission of the murder of Deputy Tarsia. Now, one of the suspects, his favorite car that he loved to drive, operate, and it was actually his. He actually hadn't stolen it, at least not that we know of. It was a 1990 gold Honda Accord. It was all souped up and decorated with decals on it and on the windshield and the side mirrors, and that car would help spell the demise for one of the suspects. Now, over the months prior to the murder of Deputy Tarsia, they had stolen, the 3 suspects had stolen 2 Ford Broncos, an F-150 monster truck, and a Ford Econoline van. And just 2 days before Deputy Tarsia was murdered, they stole a 1979 Winnebago. Now, you wonder where they're hiding all these vehicles. Well, it turns out our intrepid suspects had a plan. Now, they took that Winnebago and they parked it in some woods behind the Fletcher Manufacturing Company. Now, they're saying it's there in Kirkwood, New York, but now I didn't see a factory there. Only factories I saw close was just up the street a little bit. So they had their stolen vehicles all parked on this little dirt road, and they called it One Dirt Road, right there behind that manufacturing plant. So now it's the night of July the 3rd. Our 3 suspects, they leave their little kingdom there on One Dirt Road, They're heading into Pennsylvania. Now they're all in that little Honda that one of the suspects just absolutely loved, his little souped-up car. Now they drove around the town of Halstead, Pennsylvania for about an hour. They were looking for a truck to steal. And they finally found one. They switched tags on it. They busted the column, got it cranked up. So now one of the suspects drove the truck, and the other two got back in the Honda, and they drove back up northbound on Route 11. And they went up to the Grange Hall Road. And they pulled in there at the park, which is aptly named Grange Hall Park. So now the one suspect in the Honda, he parks his favorite little car, and he climbs into the back of the truck and he lays down in the bed. Now they all got ski masks and gloves, and they're heading back to Pennsylvania, and they're all armed. So they hit a business called Mess Fireworks. Now they rammed the bed of that truck. They used it as a battering ram. Busted open the front doors of the business. Now some people that was out cooking for the 4th of July, they heard the commotion. Now the three ran in there and they were looking for handguns, long guns, knives. So they snatched up a bunch of pistols and some long guns, jumped back in the truck, and they took off. Now when they left, they had one driving, the other two laid down in the bed of the truck. Now it's about 3:30 in the morning on July the 4th when the suspects pulled into Grange Hall Park. So now they're going to transfer the weapons from that pickup truck that's going to have some obvious back end damage. They're going to put them all in the Honda. They're going to head back to their little kingdom on one dirt road. Now it just so happens that Deputy Tarsia, he's working that night. Now his house, he had him a little house there on Grange Hall Road. In fact, his house was less than a mile from the park. Now what they're theorizing is that Deputy Tarsia was going home to eat on his midnight shift. He must have glanced into the park and saw them vehicles there. Now he didn't radio it in, but in any event, he whips into the park. Now the vehicles, near as I can figure, are parked kind of on that east side there, where there's trees and bushes and whatnot. A slightly wooded area. Now when he pulls in, he doesn't pull straight in on the vehicles. He's parked at an angle. And he takes the spotlight of the patrol vehicle and he shines it towards the little Honda and that pickup truck. Now, I don't know that he did, but I'm pretty sure he saw the three individuals that took off when he pulled in. Don't know that for sure. Now, one of the suspects, he dove underneath the big old truck. The other two, they jumped into the patch of trees there in the park. The only thing we got to go on is the confessions by the suspects later. Now, one of the three suspects would later cut a deal and testify against the other two, so he'd have more reason to tell the truth, I reckon, if he wants that deal. Now, according to their confessions, Deputy Tarsia, he gets out, he walks around his patrol car, around the front of it. Now, one of the suspects, the one that had jumped underneath the truck, he's got an unloaded assault rifle in one hand that he'd just stolen from the fireworks store. Now, in the other hand, he's got a loaded Glock. Now, that's going to be the one he stole from the shop there in Hancock. Now, according to the suspect underneath the truck, he said he saw Deputy Tarsia begin to draw his weapon. And later on, he would claim self-defense. He said when he saw the deputy begin pulling his .40 caliber Glock, the suspect, he pulled out his pistol and he got to firing. Now, he pretty well unloaded that magazine in his pistol. Now, some of the bullets from the suspect's gun hit Deputy Tarsia's body armor. Some others missed him completely, but now one hit Deputy Tarsia in the stomach area because the vest doesn't come all the way down. Now, that bullet hit his small intestines and hit one of his kidneys. Now, that shot knocked him down. Now, Deputy Tarsia continued to struggle there on the ground on the blacktop trying to get his pistol out. Now, that suspect who had shot him underneath the truck, he got up, jumped into his favorite little Honda car, and he ran over the deputy. Now, later his defense attorneys would claim that their client had just simply panicked. Now, Deputy Tarsia's ribs were broken and right femur was broken. But the deputy was still in the game. Now, he wasn't going to quit. So then, one of the suspects that was in the trees, he come running out. Now, the second suspect, he's armed with that Car 9mm. Cranks off one round, and the magazine falls out. Then this suspect number 2, he picks up Deputy Tarsia's Glock. Then he fired 2 execution shots into Deputy Tarsia's face. About 5:40 in the morning, a fella heading home from work, he evidently was driving right by the park, and he could see the deputy's vehicle, and he could see the patrol car and one of the suspect vehicles. So he called the state police. So now the police are out looking for the killers. ME would say that there was bullet fragments recovered from Deputy Tarsia's right hand. Now, according to his opinion, the deputy had taken both his hands to cover his face when the shots were fired by the suspect. Later on, one of the killers would remark to a friend that Deputy Tarsia had been fighting for his life. Some of the dead deputy's brothers went to the park, and they were looking for evidence after the police had left a day or two later. Now, one of them, when he was out there trampling around in the brush and the trees over there on the right-hand side of the park, which I believe they identify that as the east side of the park, he found a dark blue do-rag. Now, later on, that do-rag would be attributed to one of the suspects via DNA. Now, they had some callers call in talking about who they thought had done the killing. Told them why. They even had somebody that knew about the one dirt road and their little operation there behind that Fletcher Manufacturing Company. So the police go over there and they recover stolen vehicles. They find that suspect's favorite Honda car. They check that Honda. They find human tissue in the undercarriage of that Honda that matches up to Deputy Tarsia. Now, also, in one of the stolen vehicles, there on one dirt road, they find traffic flares and an equipment bag belonging to the deputy. Now, later on, the police would recover a grocery bag, and inside of it was Deputy Tarsia's service weapon They would also find the stolen Glock that was used to initially shoot the deputy. Now, all that was found behind one of the suspect's mama's house over there at 300 Foley Road there in town. Now, when it's all said and done, the two suspects that were involved in the actual shooting of the deputy, they pled guilty. They took a sentence of life, no parole. Now, there was some resource material that mentioned the fact that the reason they were so quick to take that state charge and plead guilty to it was that the feds indicated that they might just bring those two defendants over to the federal courthouse and they give them a death penalty. The thing about the federal government is when they give you a death sentence, they carry theirs out a lot quicker than the state does. So I'm sure that they decided that was a good deal. We'll just go to prison. Deputy Kevin Joseph Tarsia. End of watch, July 4th, 2002.